There is a day in Roman history that almost everyone has heard about, but very few people truly understand, because this is not just the story of a murder. It is the story of how an empire began, and more importantly, it is the story of when power becomes frightening. Julius Caesar was powerful, but not only because he had an army, not only because he had victories. He was powerful because people believed in him. And throughout history, that has always been the most dangerous kind of power. Not weapons, not soldiers, but loyalty. In this video, you won't just see how Caesar died. You'll see why he had to die, why the men who raised their knives believed they were saving Rome, and how a single assassination changed the future of the entire world. Because when Caesar fell, many truly believed one thing, that the Republic would survive. But history chose a different path, and it all came down to a single moment, a single realization, and a question that has echoed for more than 2,000 years. Et tu, Brute? That question wasn't spoken only to one man, it was spoken to power itself, to betrayal, to human nature. So let's go back and understand this story from the very beginning. Who was Julius Caesar? History books often give us simple answers. They call him a conqueror, a general, a dictator. But Caesar was more than a title. He was one man in a city full of ambition. Born into a noble family, yes, but not born into absolute power. He took risks. He lost. He failed. And he learned. So how did one man become the center of Rome's fate? Caesar did not gain power only through the sword. He gained it by understanding people. He knew the Roman people were tired of corruption, tired of inequality, tired of a Senate that spoke for itself, not for them. He didn't promise them glory alone. He offered them dignity. Caesar didn't stand above his soldiers. He marched with them. He slept where they slept. He suffered where they suffered. And because of that, his army didn't just follow him, they believed in him. But here is the question history never answers easily. Was that leadership, or was it danger? Because there is a rule that repeats itself across time. When people believe in one man too deeply, others begin to fear him. Caesar did not openly attack the Senate. He simply made it irrelevant. And sometimes that is the greatest threat of all. Did he want to be king? No one can say for certain. But one thing is clear. By the time Caesar died, Rome was no longer the Rome it had been. And perhaps the most uncomfortable question is this. If Caesar was a tyrant, why did so many love him? And if he was a hero, why was he killed by his own? The Senate did not kill Caesar because they hated him. They killed him because they feared him. And this fear was not born of the sword. It was not born of the army. Rome had seen powerful generals before Caesar, victorious commanders, men soaked in blood. But none of them had ever been this close to the heart of the people. The senators saw it, and with each passing day, their unease grew. For centuries, the Roman Senate had held power. They were the law, they were the voice, they were the decision. But now, the people were no longer listening to the Senate. They were listening to one man. When Caesar spoke, the Senate fell silent, and that was unforgivable. The senators feared that one day laws would no longer come from the Senate, but from Caesar's name. They feared that the Republic would survive only as a word. Their greatest fear was this: Caesar did not need to force himself into kingship. He did not need to. The people already saw him as a king, and for Rome, there was nothing more dangerous than that. The senators believed themselves to be the guardians of the Republic. Yet one question would not leave them in peace. If Caesar was a tyrant, Why did the people love him? And if he truly was a threat, why was that threat welcomed with applause? Caesar did not attack the Senate, he simply made it obsolete. And throughout history, this is how power is often lost. Not in a single night, not through a bloody revolution, but quietly, when people's belief changes. And the Senate understood, if they did not act today, tomorrow would be too late. That fear turned into knives. The decision to kill Caesar was not made in a moment. It was not the result of sudden anger. It was born from long nights, quiet conversations, and words spoken in whispers. The senators did not speak openly. Walls had ears. Names were spoken softly. Eyes avoided one another. At the center of the plot stood one man, Gaius Cassius Longinus. Cassius saw Caesar as an enemy. To him, Caesar was the end of the Republic. But Cassius knew he could not act alone. The people loved Caesar. The army was loyal to him. So another name was needed, a name that would make the act look like sacrifice, not betrayal. And that name was Marcus Junius Brutus. Brutus hesitated. He cared for Caesar. He owed him. Perhaps he even believed in him. But the Republic ran deep in Brutus's blood. They told him, "This is not betrayal of a friend. This is loyalty to Rome." And Brutus believed them. The plan was simple and deadly. Caesar would come unguarded. Weapons were forbidden. No one expected danger inside the Senate. Daggers were concealed. Roles were assigned. And the point of no return slowly drew closer. Before every great tragedy, history whispers once. It whispered to Caesar too. That night, there was no peace in his home. Calpurnia, Caesar's wife, woke in fear. She had seen a dream. Caesar lay covered in blood. Rome was crying. The walls were collapsing. This was not an ordinary dream. It was a feeling. Calpurnia begged him, "Do not go to the Senate today." Caesar hesitated, just for a moment. But Caesar was not a man who feared fate. He had spent his life challenging it. Others spoke next. Their words were carefully chosen. Fear was masked as reason. They told him, "The people are waiting. Do not appear weak." Caesar stood up. As he left his home, a soothsayer stopped him. "Beware the Ides of March." Caesar smiled. "The Ides have come." The soothsayer replied, "Yes, but they have not passed." The words were carried away by the air. Caesar continued on, and history made its final attempt to stop him. March 15th. The morning had already begun. Rome was calm. Nothing felt out of place. Nothing warned of what was about to happen. When Caesar entered the Senate, the faces around him were familiar. Men he had known for years, men he had trusted, men he had forgiven. No one carried weapons openly, no one shouted. Everything looked normal. But the calm was a lie. Suddenly, Casca stepped forward. The first blade struck. Caesar turned in confusion. "What is this, Casca?" There was no answer. Then came another strike, and another, and another. The Senate erupted, not in screams, but in movement. Caesar resisted. He tried to defend himself. He still believed this could stop, until he saw one face, Brutus. And in that moment, everything changed. Caesar stopped fighting. His hands fell, not because his body failed, but because his will did. He did not shout. He did not beg. He whispered only one question. "Et tu, Brute?" That question cut deeper than any blade. Caesar pulled his cloak over his face and collapsed at the foot of Pompey's statue. 23 stab wounds. But it was not the final blow that killed him. It was betrayal. The hall fell silent, and Rome, in that moment, was no longer the same. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more history stories.